Hey everyone, welcome back to the Stoic Michael. Today we're diving into something real, something you've probably felt deep down but maybe haven't put into words yet. People aren't as honest as we'd like to believe. Yeah, I said. Deception isn't just something strangers pull on you. It can come from the people you'd least expect. A buddy, your significant other, or even someone in your own family. We all want to think we're pros at sniffing out a lie, but here's the kicker. Most of the time, we miss it. Not because we're clueless, but because we choose to ignore the warning signs. We want to trust the people we care about, so we brush off the little hints that something's off. I've been there myself. I used to pride myself on reading people like a book. Thought I had this sixth sense for spotting dishonesty. Then I found out someone I trusted had been feeding me a story for months, right to my face. The signs? They were there all along, those small shifts in how they acted, the over-the-top excuses, the way they'd tense up when I asked too many questions. I just didn't want to see it. Here's the raw truth. People lie more than you think, and the faster you accept that, the sooner you'll start seeing through the masks they wear. So if you're ready to peel back the layers and face what's really going on, stick with me. I'm about to break down some dead-on signs that someone's not being straight with you. Fair warning. These might hit a little too close to home. Let's get into it. They're too quick to switch topics. Have you ever been talking to someone, and the second you bring up something that matters, something you actually care about, they dodge it like they're in a verbal game of tag? You ask a simple question, maybe about plans or something they promised to do, and bam, they're off rambling about something totally random. It's like they've got an exit strategy locked and loaded, ready to bolt the moment the conversation gets real. I've lived this one firsthand. I was in a relationship once where every time I'd try to talk about the future, nothing heavy, just stuff like where we saw ourselves down the road, they'd pivot so fast, it'd make your head spin. 1 minute I'm asking about next year, and the next they're going on about what's for lunch or some funny video they saw online. At first I let it slide. I told myself they just weren't in the mood, or maybe I was pushing too much. But it kept happening. They were never in the mood, and that was the first clue something deeper was up. It wasn't just dodging a chat. It was dodging accountability. Here's where it gets real. People don't just change the subject because they're scatterbrained. They do it because facing the truth makes them squirm. And we let them off the hook because we don't want to rock the boat. We'd rather keep things chill than call out the evasion. But that's where we mess up. Sidestepping a tough talk isn't about avoiding a fight. It's an open door to dishonesty. When someone's too quick to switch gears, it's not just them avoiding a moment. It's them choosing their comfort over your need for clarity. What does that say about the trust between you? Whether it's a friend, a partner, or even someone you work with, the truth doesn't hide in silence. I learned this the hard way. Every time I let the topic slide, I was handing them a free pass to keep me guessing. Don't make that mistake. If they can't face the conversation, they're not facing you, and that's a crack in the foundation you can't ignore. Oh, and if you're vibing with this so far, hit that subscribe button. Here at the Stoic Michael, we're all about cutting through the noise and getting to what's real. Let's keep this journey going together. They listen to talk, not to hear listening. Sounds simple, right? But it's one of the most overlooked skills out there. We think we're good at it, but most of us, we're just waiting for our turn to jump in. You're sharing something real, and the other person's nodding along, but you can tell they're not there. They're too busy planning their next line to actually hear you. I've been on both sides of this. I used to sit in conversations, half listening, mentally rehearsing what I'd say next. I'd look engaged, but I wasn't, and people knew it. They could feel I wasn't really with them. It's like an invisible wall goes up. That's not connection. That's just taking turns talking. Here's a moment that flipped the script for me. I was chatting with a coworker who was clearly struggling. My gut said to jump in with advice, fix it, be the hero. But I stopped myself. I shut up and just listened. No interruptions, no solutions, just focus. And you know what? They kept going, opening up more because they felt heard. Afterward, they said, "I've never felt so understood." That hit me hard. Real listening isn't about fixing. It's about giving someone space to breathe. In a world where everyone's shouting to be noticed, actually hearing someone is rare. It's powerful. When you listen to understand, not just to reply, you show you value them. That's where trust starts. But if they're only half there, waiting to speak, they're not in it with you. They're in it for themselves. They get defensive, out of nowhere. Ever ask someone a basic question and get a reaction like you just accused them of treason? You say something innocent like, "Hey, did you finish that thing we talked about?" And suddenly they're firing back with, "Why do you always think I'm dropping the ball? I've been busting my ass here." Whoa, where'd that come from? It's like they're defending a castle that hasn't even been attacked. That's defensiveness without cause. And it's a neon sign something's off. I saw this play out in a group project once. I'd ask a teammate, "How's your part coming along?" Normal stuff, right? But he'd snap, "I don't need you checking up on me, I'm on it." Turns out, he wasn't on it. He'd barely started and was scrambling to cover it up. The defensiveness wasn't about me, it was about him hiding the truth. Here's the bold take. People who overreact like that usually have something to feel guilty about. If they're secure, they don't need to puff up over a simple question. Honest folks stay cool. The ones with secrets, they're on edge, waiting for you to catch them. When someone flips out over nothing, step back. What are they guarding so hard? It's not about you being nosy. It's about them dodging reality. Don't let it slide, just to keep the peace. That overreaction is their guilt talking, and you deserve to know why. Their stories are too perfect. You ever hear someone tell a tale so smooth it feels like they practiced it in front of a mirror? Every detail lines up, the timing's spot on, and it flows like a movie script. It's almost too good. I knew a guy, let's call him Alex, who could spin a yarn like that. He'd tell us about these epic wins, like a deal he supposedly nailed down. He'd paint the scene, the exact moment he signed the papers, the handshake that sealed it, the view from the office window. It was cinematic. But real life? It's not that tidy. When I started asking questions, the edges of his story frayed. Turns out most of it was hype. He'd stretched the truth into something unrecognizable. Here's the deal. Perfect stories aren't real. Life's messy, chaotic, full of hiccups. When someone hands you a tale that's too polished, they're not sharing, they're selling. They want you to buy their version, no questions asked. We eat it up because we love a good narrative, but that's how they sneak past us. The truth isn't flawless, it's rough around the edges. So when someone's story feels rehearsed, dig deeper. Ask for the messy bits. If they can't handle that, they're not giving you reality, they're giving you fiction. Their body says not here. Ever notice someone talking to you but their body's pointed the other way? Their mouth's saying, "I'm in this," but their shoulders are halfway out the door. It's subtle, but it screams they'd rather be anywhere else. I had a friend who did this. We'd get into real talks, stuff that mattered, and he'd slowly angle away. I thought it was just how he sat, but it kept happening. Whenever the convo got personal, his body checked out. Later, I learned he'd been holding back some truths. His words said one thing, his posture said another. Body language doesn't lie like words can. When someone turns away, it's their subconscious pulling back from the truth. We ignore it because we don't want the hassle, but it's a signal. They're not just uncomfortable, they're hiding. Next time you see it, don't brush it off. It's not random. It's a clue they're not fully with you, emotionally or otherwise. They laugh off. What matters? You ever try to get serious with someone and they just chuckle it away? You're pouring your heart out, maybe about a worry, or a disconnect, and they hit you with a laugh like, "Oh, you're overreacting, chill out." It feels dismissive because it is. I had this in a relationship. I'd say, "I've been feeling off lately," and they'd laugh, "You're too in your head." It wasn't funny to me, but they'd dodge every real talk with a joke. Over time, I saw it. That laughter was a shield. They didn't want to face the issue, or me. Humor's great, but when it's a constant dodge for serious stuff, it's a problem. They're not lightening the mood, they're burying the truth. Real talks aren't always fun, and if they can't, drop the act. They're not ready for honesty. Call it out. Ask, "Why is this a joke to you?" If they can't answer, that's your sign. Said. They get vague. When you push ever ask for details and get a cloud of nothing, you want specifics, names, times, facts, and they give you poetry instead. I had a coworker like this. He'd brag about big projects, but when I'd ask, "Who's involved?" or "What's the timeline?" it was all, "Oh, it's early days, exciting stuff, can't say much." Months later, no project. He was bluffing, hoping I'd stop asking. Vagueness is a liar's playground. It's where they run when the heat's on, hoping you'll get lost in the haze. Think about it. When you ask someone a direct question, something simple like, "Hey, what happened with that thing you were working on?" and they come back with a misty, "Oh, it's in progress, lots of moving parts." What are they really saying? Nothing. Absolutely nothing concrete. It's like they've tossed a smoke bomb into the conversation, banking on you being too polite or too distracted to wade through it. Honest people don't dance around details. They lay them out, plain and simple. If they don't know, they'll say so. But when someone gets fuzzy under pressure, it's not just a quirk, it's a strategy. They're betting you won't push, and too often we let them win. Clarity matters, and if they can't give it, they're hiding something. Push harder. You deserve answers, not smoke. Let me paint you a picture from my own life to show you how this plays out. I had this coworker, let's call him Dave, who was always hyping up these huge opportunities he was chasing. He'd stroll into the break room, all swagger, talking about how he was in talks with some big players. Naturally, I'd get curious. I'd ask, "Oh, cool, who are you working with? What's the next step?" And every single time, it was like watching a magician pull a vanishing act. "Well, it's early stages," he'd say, waving his hand like he was brushing off a fly. "Can't get into specifics yet, but trust me, it's going to be big." Early stages. Weeks turned into months, and the story never changed. Same vague lines, same dodge. Eventually, someone else on the team called him out in a meeting, asked for a straight answer in front of everyone. Guess what? Crickets. Turns out, there were no big players. Dave had been puffing up half-baked ideas to look important, hoping no one would dig deeper. That vagueness? It was his shield. Here's where it gets real. Vagueness isn't just annoying, it's a deliberate move. People who are straight with you don't need to hide behind a fog of words. If they've got the goods, they'll show you the receipts, dates, names, facts, whatever you need to see the picture. But a liar? They thrive in the gray zones. They know that the less they say, the harder it is for you to pin them down. It's like trying to grab water with your hands. It slips right through and they're counting on you giving up. I've seen this in personal stuff too. I had a friend once who'd always talk about these trips he was planning. "Where you going?" I'd ask. "Oh, somewhere cool, still figuring it out," he'd reply every time. Months later, no trip. No plans, just hot air. The vagueness wasn't him being chill, it was him avoiding the truth that he had nothing going on. Now, let's flip the script for a second. We've all been vague ourselves, right? Maybe you didn't want to admit you forgot something, or you weren't ready to spill the beans on a half-formed idea. That's human. But there's a difference between, "I don't have all the details yet, let me get back to you," and a swirling cloud of nonsense designed to keep you guessing. The first is honest uncertainty. The second is a dodge. I remember a time I caught myself doing it. Someone asked me about a project I'd hyped up, and I wasn't ready to admit I'd dropped the ball. I started with, "Oh, it's complicated, lots of stuff in the works." But halfway through, I stopped. I owned it. "Actually, I haven't made much progress. My bad." The relief was instant. No more pretending. That's what honesty feels. Like, it's clear, even when it's messy. The takeaway. Here's the bottom line. Lies don't always shout. They whisper. It's the vague replies, the too slick stories, the nervous laughs that give them away. Start noticing, and you'll see what's been right in front of you. Don't shy away from the tough questions. Truth builds stronger ties than any dodge ever will. You deserve people who show up with honesty, not excuses. Comment trigger. Hey, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a story in the comments about a time you caught someone dodging the truth, or just type, "I deserve the real deal," if you're ready to demand honesty in your life. Let's get this convo going. If you found this helpful, smash that like button and subscribe to the Stoic Michael for more no BS takes on life. Hit the bell so you don't miss a thing. We're just getting started. Stay real, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.